Kia ora e hoa mai, and welcome back to Catherine Parr's Light. Today I'm joined by the beautiful Deidre Wilton, the heart and vision behind Star-Wise Clairvoyant Astrology. Deidre is an esoteric astrologer, clairvoyant, teacher, and author who has been guiding people for more than 20 years to connect deeply with their soul's journey. Through her readings, teachings, and writings, she supports us in releasing old patterns, embracing our divine purpose, and living with more clarity, confidence, and self-love. In this korero, we'll explore how astrology and intuition weave together, not just as tools for prediction, but as pathways into healing, self-understanding, and spiritual activation. We'll talk about what it means to study the soul through the stars, the themes that are alive in the sky right now, and how each of us can work with Wairoa in our everyday lives. So take a deep grounding breath with me. Let yourself settle, and let's step into this conversation with Deidre. Deidre, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to see what comes from the wonderful you.
Thank you for having me.
So, a first question I've got for you today is really what first drew you to astrology and clairvoyance?
Okay, so long story, but I'll try and keep it short, is that, I'm one of these people like many of us who do this sort of work that has always been there. There's always been this sort of knowing in the background. And I remember as a child growing up and being fascinated by astrology, but also I can remember my mother actually telling me recently, or not just before she died, that I used to, my parents were a little bit religious, and so they used to make us go to Sunday school on a Sunday, which I hated, absolutely hated anything to do with religion like that. It just was always felt like it was wrong that I'd go to church and I'd hear these things about how we're all sinners and we're all bad people and we need forgiveness. And I just used to sit there, and I can imagine I was about 7 years old and I was so angry, just wanting to just stand up and say, you're wrong, you're wrong. So I used to wag and not go. And apparently my mother told me I used to come home and she'd go, you haven't been at Sunday school, where have you been? And I said, I've been in the cemetery talking to the dead people, because to me that was a much better thing to do than go to Sunday school. So it's always been there. But what was really interesting was I was pretty much brought to my knees to do this work. I always knew it was there in the background, but I never thought that I was capable of it. I thought that I always knew that I knew things about other people that but I thought that everybody did that. I thought it was the most normal thing in the world to know that what people were going to do next, or what they'd been through, or what might be coming up for them. It was just always being shown to me, and I thought everybody saw things like that. I just thought that was completely normal. So I was actually about 38 before I realised that this isn't normal at all. That only that not everybody does this. So I met a woman who became my teacher called Margaret. Margaret McElroy was her name. And she died several years ago, and we became friends. And then I knew what she did, that she was a spiritual teacher and an astrologer, and she did readings and taught courses and retreats and things. And so she said to me one day, why don't I get to do a reading for you? So I said, okay, I'm open to that. So we did a reading. So when you have a reading with me, and when I had a reading with her, the first thing we do is pull up your natal chart, so your astrology chart, which is all like a round circle full of little glyphs of symbols and numbers and things. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's all very colourful, and most people sort of look at it and, like I did, going, are you sure? And so she pulled out my astrology chart. She took one look at it and said to me, oh my God, she goes, you're an astrologer. She said, you've done this lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. It's all there in your chart. I'm going, are you sure? Okay. And thinking, but yeah, it's interesting. I've always been really drawn to astrology. Well, but as she said that to me, it was like there was a click in my head, like the penny dropped. And within 2 weeks, I knew everything. Well, not everything, but 85% about everything to do with astrology. Because when you've done something in other lifetimes, your soul remembers every lifetime you've ever had, and it stores away all of that information. So as soon as it comes across something familiar in this lifetime that it remembers or recognizes from another lifetime, it wants to take you back there. It just wants to help. But what it might be, you might come across an experience in this lifetime. The last time you had that experience was the 13th century. So your soul will immediately go, let's go back to the 13th century and do it that way. But of course, that's not appropriate for today. So it just, all this information just started downloading into my head. And I just knew things. I'd look at a sign of the Zodiac and just know all these things about it and think, wow, this is amazing. But then what was even more interesting was, a couple of weeks later, my mother was shifting house, and she rang me to say, look, you need to come back. All of your old school stuff and all the things you've accumulated over the years are all here, and you need to get rid of it because I'm moving. So I went down and I was going through all my stuff, and I found my first ever school report that I did when I was about 8 or 9. And I don't know if you remember, when you did the school reports, the most exciting thing was the title page. I mean, it was quite fun to do the writing, but really how pretty you could make it, because I was a very creative
Yes,
person.
that's
That was
right.
that was the
Yes.
fun of it. So I find this old school report I did about the age of 8 or 9, and it's all on astrology.
Oh,
And the cover page is one of the wheels of a natal chart. It's like, oh my God. And as soon as I saw it, I remembered doing it. But up until then, I'd had no memory of it whatsoever. So
yes.
and I'd also come to a stage in my life just before all of this happened where I've been working as a chef for several years, and the place I was working for turned on me and decided that they didn't want me working there anymore, and they were really awful to me. And so it really kind of brought me to my knees, and this work was sort of banging on the door, but I had no confidence in myself. I thought, I can't do that. Just because I see and feel things doesn't mean that I'm right or that I should tell other people or anything like that. So it was a difficult initiation into it. But because I had the knowledge, it just sort of swept me along with it. So when I did talk to people, I'd be able to tell them things that made a difference to them and their lives, and that's
Mm,
just sort of just get the ball started rolling from there. So that was
mm.
over 20 years ago. Yeah, so I've been doing it ever since. Traveled all over the world. I have a YouTube channel. I have my Facebook page, Instagram, all of that. So I travel over the world to do readings and to take retreats and workshops in different countries, different places, and do a
Amazing.
lot of work, of course, online as well.
As you talked into all of that, what came up to me was the age, your age. So let's talk into the age of the spiritual awakening around
Yeah,
that
yeah.
age group.
So about 38 it was for
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah.
interesting, astrologically,
Mm,
we all go through a midlife crisis, and
mm.
your midlife crisis is all to do with the planet Uranus moving into opposition with itself. So it takes Uranus approximately 40 years to move from where it starts off in your chart around till it's opposite itself. And so it's called your Uranus opposition or your midlife crisis. So it happens to everybody
Hmm.
between 38 and 42. And what happens is, like, as I see it, at around about 40, we're kind of halfway through our lives. And so we're given this opportunity to decide, are you going to be the same person for the next 40 years that you've been for the last 40 years, or are you going to change? And if you're going to change, are you going to change everything about yourself, or are you just going to change your job or your relationship or whatever? And this is why most divorces happen at 40, because
Yes.
people get to that age and think, my life isn't what I wanted it to be. It's your fault. And of course, you blame your partner and off you go. So, it gives us this opportunity, 38 to 42, where our life often can get turned upside down so that we can choose a different path to move forward. So that's basically what I did at that age, was choose that different path to move forward on, and never gone back from it.
And isn't it interesting how the universe will shape situations in order for that change to take place?
Yes, absolutely. And so with astrology, we work on the premise that you choose your life before you're born. So your astrology, your natal chart, is the map of everything you've chosen to be, experience, go through, be good at, be not so good at, all of that's in there. So my job is to help you to understand what you chose from your life so that you can get on with living it the way that you're meant to live it, rather than trying to be a mathematician when you're actually an artist. And I'm a great believer that all parents should be handed their children's astrology the minute that child's born, so they can guide and support that child in the way that it's chosen to come in, rather than what they might think is best for it.
It's wonderful. Absolutely, I agree with that. So as we look into, sorry, excuse me, I'm just going to bring up some more of these questions that I have here for
Yeah,
you.
sure.
So you've been working in this field for over 15 years.
Over 20 years now. Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
so. We may need to update that website of
Oh,
yours.
okay. Yeah.
So over 20 years now.
Mm.
How do you see your practice? How do you think your practice has evolved over those years? Over that
Oh,
time?
hugely. I mean,
Yeah.
but what's really interesting, and then you would know also with this work, is that it can only evolve as much as you do.
Yes.
So if you keep playing small, if you keep being scared, if you keep lacking confidence in yourself, then it can't grow. Because,
Mm,
what we do is we're relying on and working with energy, which is something we can't prove. We can't pull up a book or a video or a program and say, I know this because of this. We're
mm,
relying on what we feel to be true. And so
mm,
a lot of this work, as I'm sure you know too, is all about trust and faith
mm,
in yourself. that you know what you're doing. So when I first started doing readings, I was living in Taupo, and it used to be about a 15-minute drive from where I lived to this little crystal shop where I used to do the readings. So I used to drive in every day going, please
I
let it
love
work,
that
please let
crystal
it work.
shop, by the way. I absolutely love that crystal shop. I think they're closing down, but anyway,
Oh,
sorry. But
oh, this is a long time ago. I don't think
oh,
the one I
okay,
worked is not there anymore. That is a good one though.
it's
That's
great.
there now.
Yes.
So, and then one day I was at home and I was vacuuming my car, and Spirit said to me, look, you're being ridiculous. We're going to give you a mantra that you can use to give yourself more confidence in yourself. So I really like to share this with people because it's really special. So it goes, if I believe that I am true in all I say and do, then I'll never have to question if it came from me or you.
Mm,
And that really
beautiful.
helped me to actually just believe in yourself, believe. Because, and the other thing was, somebody said to me once, what would be the point in anybody coming to you for help or a reading or whatever if you couldn't help them? Why would the universe create that situation? Why would that person be drawn to you if you're not the person to help them? And that also really helped me to get confidence in what I was doing too.
Yes, beautiful.
Yeah.
And so if we look at that, how do because it is a lot around confidence in yourself, but then also when the confirmations that you get from spirit and that
Mm.
you get from the universe, so
Yeah,
that would also help with that confidence as well when you
absolutely.
are,
Yeah.
open and aware of those
Yeah.
synchronicities.
And being aware of the subtleties, because I mean, a lot of
Mm.
people, and we would all love it if the messages came in and screaming neon lights on a loudspeaker, so we didn't miss it, but they're usually very subtle. So you've got to be very aware of everything that's going on. You've got to become a real observer of your own life and of yourself to be able to see
Yes.
everything that's going on.
Yes, yes, the connection with yourself and how spirit speaks to you. So
Yeah.
for me, for example, I get signs from birds.
Okay.
I get signs, well, clearly, 111 or the angel
Mm.
numbers,
Yeah.
that those are all wonderful. But I guess it's just how your spirit team or how your spirit will connect with you in order
Yeah.
how those signs and synchronicities are going to manifest for you.
Yeah, so I think we've all got to realize that, there's all those different types of clairvoyant, clairaudient, claircognient, and you've got to recognize which is yours.
Mm,
Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm not psychic. I don't have any intuition or anything because I don't see anything or I don't
mm,
hear dead people talking to me.
mm.
But they feel on a very deep level what they know to be true. And that's the same thing. It's just different. And so, it's a good thing for people to learn is that there's many different ways of connecting with spirit and there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just about what works for you and them to work with you.
Yes, yes. What do you think the one of the most common misconceptions about astrology is that you would love to clear up?
I think that people think that if they're born under a certain star sign, then they carry every single trait or every that they are. So, say you're a Leo,
Yes.
then you think that everything that goes with Leo is you, but that's not true. We're all made up of all 12 signs of the zodiac. For instance, in my astrology chart, I'm a Cancerian, and I've only got my Sun in Cancer. I don't have any other planets in Cancer, but I'm still very much a Cancerian. But
Mhm.
we have all these other things that influence us, and so you're never really truly one star sign. And that's something that I think, yeah, because then people might read something about themselves and go, well, that's not me. So
Yeah,
I'm not interested in astrology anymore because it's all a pack of lies.
that's
But you
right.
just got to realize that there'll be similar traits that everybody has. But at the same time, there's all the other bits that they've brought in as well to learn from and to activate in this lifetime.
So when somebody reads their sign, is it a good practice to have a look at the other signs that are coming up because there may be similarities in that, or
Yeah, well, what we usually say to do is to read your sun sign and also read your ascendant or your rising sign. But you've got to know your astrology or know your chart a little bit to know what that is. So you'd
Mm,
read both of those because they're kind of the two halves of you. One is how you are inside, and the other is how you present yourself to the world. So they're both relative to how you're acting and reacting on a daily basis.
so many layers.
Yeah, yeah. And it's interesting, I had a client many years ago who was adopted, and she was born, in astrology, we have the cusps between each
Yes,
sign of the zodiac. And that's
that is right.
because the sun never returns to exactly the same spot in the sky every year. And that's why we have those 3 days of sort of leeway between
Oh,
signs of the
yes.
zodiac, because it can change every year. So, your birthday might be on the 15th one year, and next year it'll be on the 16th, or the following year on the 14th. And it's always going to be different. And so when we have that cusp energy, again, that's where people, I had this client and all her life she had been brought up believing she was a Leo because she was on the cusp. But
Mm,
when we actually, that's why your time of birth is so important because that gives us the exact of what you are, especially if you're born when the sun's about to change signs or something like that in that cusp area. So this woman had been brought up her whole life and believed she was a Leo her entire life, but she was actually a Cancerian. And so we had this huge big debate on whether, on nature versus nurture, whether you are what you think you are or whether you are
Yes.
what you're supposed to be, whether it comes through anyway. So it was really interesting and so that's very common, well, not very common, but pretty common for that to happen to people.
Yes, well, I'm actually a Aquarius Pisces, so I'm on the
Oh,
19th of February, and then
right.
I'm a 1985 baby, so I'm on the cusp of the rat and the this is Chinese, the rat and
Right.
the
Yeah, I don't know the Chinese that well. Don't know what
yeah.
the red, sorry.
I think it's the ox, but I could be
Oh,
wrong.
yeah.
But so so there is definitely I know where she's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also even with the moon, so the moon changes signs every 2.5 to 3 days. So I also had a client at a workshop once, and his mother couldn't remember whether he was born just before midnight or just after midnight. And what happened was that on that particular day that he was born, the moon changed signs at around about midnight from Aquarius into Pisces. And
Okay.
so I sort of said to him, are you a bit sort of, when it comes to your emotions, are you a little bit detached and withdrawn, or are you a big sook? And he goes, I'm a big sook. And I said, okay,
And your
well, your moon's in
Pisces.
Pisces then. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that one didn't need too much calculating. It just needed a few questions asked to get to the bottom of it.
And I do find that at different stages of my life as well, I've been more Aquarius than
Yeah,
Pisces, or different
yeah,
relationships,
yeah,
depending on the relationship.
yeah,
My daughter's
absolutely.
my daughter's a Pisces, and she is gorgeous. I just love her. She knows how to manipulate the room and bring everybody into playing
Yeah,
their roles for her.
yeah.
She's very good at that, and yes, so lots of positive traits in both signs.
Yeah, yeah, and you also something with astrology, you keep attracting the same sign of the zodiac to you until you learn what they have to teach you. So you'll also find during your life you might have been surrounded by Leos or surrounded by Aquarians or whatever, and it's because there's something you need to learn from that particular sign. And once you've learnt it, they'll all go away, and you'll end up with a new sign coming at you to learn things from.
Let's talk into that. I mean, let's talk about those Geminis.
Why are you picking on Gemini?
I actually love them. I think they're great. There's
It's
just
great
so much
fun.
character and yeah, so much fun.
Yeah.
Charismatic.
Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah.
I actually consider Gemini women to be the most capable woman of the zodiac, because the beautiful thing about Geminis is that you present them with something, say, hey, would you like to do this? They go, yep, we'll give it a go. And if it doesn't work out, if they fail miserably or whatever happens, they don't worry. They just move on and take it next. Whereas other signs of the zodiac will be sort of wanting to kill themselves
Like
or
a
never ever want to
Scorpio.
try that again or never going to play with you again, whatever it might be. But Geminis just soldier on. They're great.
Yeah, yeah. And would that be because of let's talk into that. Why do you believe that to be the
I
case?
think they have an insatiable curiosity.
Mm,
And they're the ultimate multitaskers. So it's very normal for a Gemini to be doing more than one thing at a time. And again, that's not all the signs of the zodiac can do that. Like Capricorn, for example, cannot do that. They just become completely overwhelmed when they've got too many things, but give them one thing to do and they will ace it.
masters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so with the Geminis, I think it's that insatiable curiosity because they also have this reputation for being the jack of all trades and the master of none. And I sort of liken Geminis to being like magpies. It's like anything that's shiny and exciting has to be going and explored. So we'll drop that and we'll jump over there and oh, there's something shiny over there. We'll go and look at that. So they often, most Gemini people I do readings for have at least 4 books sitting beside their bed that are half finished
Oh,
because they get bored so quickly. So really important for Geminis to, embrace jobs and careers and things that give them lots of variety. Otherwise they will be bored silly and they will keep changing and changing and changing. And then they feel like they can't hold a job down or they can't, work through everything, but they just need something that gives them lots of variety.
and would you say going into the darker side of that, would you say that's why, they maybe go to more towards addiction and quite high highs and low lows? There's the
Yeah, well,
extremities of
being
that,
an
does that?
Yeah, because the air signs, so Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra are the air signs of the zodiac. And so if you imagine the air signs, they like to be very social and they like to
Yes.
keep everything nice and light and on the surface. They don't
Mm.
really enjoy going right deeply into things or having to bare their soul or anything like that. They just like to keep it nice and easy so that everybody gets along and there's no drama and everything's good. And so they
Mm.
like to keep that. So at worst case scenario, particularly for Geminis, they can be absolute liars in their
Yes.
efforts. to make things more exciting and more interesting, but also to not to have to go there into that deep, dark depths of your soul, which is just terrifying for them. So they keep things light, which, is something they have to learn, is to go deeper, because that's where the answers are.
Yes, yes. So when we look at souls that incarnate into the Gemini sign, do you find that is there a common theme with whether they're old souls or younger souls, or what do you?
Not on that level, no. I think old or young, either or. I sort of feel that when we come back and choose our lives before we're born, we're choosing what star sign we're going to be born under, because, the star sign you're born under is the lens through which you're going to view the world.
Mm,
And so, as a Gemini, fancy, I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back as a Gemini, because in this lifetime, I want to know what it's like to have 10 different careers in one lifetime, because I've never
yes.
done that before as a soul. I've always stuck to the same thing. I've always been very, straight lined. I've always only ever involved myself in things that are like scientific. And so,
Mm,
here's a Gemini. I want to be social. I want to be an actor. I want to be out there. I want to have lots of different jobs and things. So it's an opportunity to live your life very differently, so that your
mm,
soul can experience that and what it might be like to have a life like that.
perfect answer. And so let's look at other signs that would match up with each other. So I mean, if you're okay with that,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest, because again,
right?
we're all made up of all signs of the zodiac. But and there's certain. Yeah, I just feel that it always comes down to character. Like I remember my teacher many years ago, another student of hers, and she was teaching two different students. One she knew face to face, and the other one she only knew online. And the one online was a male, and the one that she knew face to face was a female. And when she looked at their astrology, they were incredibly compatible. Like they
Mm,
should have made such a good couple. And on paper it was, but when they actually met, there's just no spark, there's no
mm,
magic there. And so
yes.
that's where I can't see why you could automatically say that that star sign will get along with, will make a perfect partner for this star sign, because once you're in the reality of things, it's not always the same.
No, that's right.
But I
That's
would
right.
sort of say there's definitely certain star signs that will be difficult for other star signs. Like they say, opposites attract, and that's very much so. If we look at Gemini again, the opposite to Gemini is Sagittarius. So the opposing signs of the zodiac always share something in common. And with Gemini and Sagittarius, they're both insatiable curiosity, love to explore, love to be adventurous, love to put themselves out there. But the difference is Geminis dabble and Sagittarians become experts at what they do, but they're both
Oh,
going to go through careers and jobs just as much as each other. So they could get along really well together, in the sense that the Sagittarian can teach the Gemini how to be an expert, and the Gemini can teach the Sagittarian not to be so controlling and to lighten up a bit. So there's that switch there. So, there's lots, we every sign of the zodiac has its positive and its challenging traits. And so what we're here to do is learn how to use those in the best way possible. So for
mm,
instance, Sagittarius is the most controlling sign of the zodiac. But Sagittarian people hate to be controlled. So it's a very good lesson for them to treat other people the way that they wish to be treated. So because they have such a need to be in control, they need to learn, they can't get away from that. They carry that energy with them. So how do I use that energy in my life in a way that's going to be useful and not offensive or obstructive to another person? So if
mm,
you're going to be a controlling person, the best place to be controlling is really in the workplace. Because,
mm,
often, become the boss, so you're in
mm,
charge and you get to
mm,
control. But if
mm.
you try and do that in your personal life or in your family life, it's not going to go down well. So you've got to take the challenges of each sign of the zodiac and manipulate them, or take the shadow and transform it into the light.
Yes. So talking into Sagittarians, what do you find that they normally attract in those that like to be controlled? So there's a lot of
Sometimes, yeah.
codependence in those relationships.
Yeah, and probably attracting people to them that are easily controlled but need to learn how to not be controlled. So,
Yes.
everybody, because we choose our lives before we're born, every single person who's in your life, you chose to put there
Okay.
so that you could use them at some stage in your life, and not in a negative, not in a negative way, but simply because we all can be of use to one another, and life is it's a practical cycle of things. And so we put people, we put places, we put opportunities in our way so that we can evolve and grow and expand in some way. So it's always good when you're starting a new path or wanting to do something new, that you look at, who have I got around me that can help me?
Mm,
Like many years ago when I created my website, I didn't have any money to pay someone to make one. And back in those days, it cost a lot of money to get someone to build a website for you. But my daughter's boyfriend was 18 years old and absolutely incredible with IT. So he designed my whole website at the age of 18. I haven't changed it much since then. So that was all done by an 18-year-old. And he loves food. And so I just, I just cooked him food for him to make
Yes.
the website. It was perfect. So it was,
Isn't that typical for a male? The way to a
yeah,
man's
true.
heart is through his belly.
Yeah. But it works. So, there's always a way that you can get what you want in an easy way, using each other's energy, which is really what we should focus a lot more on the earth plane than everything being about money. We've
Yes.
all got people around us who we can make use of, and they can make use of us, and we can all coexist like that rather than having to constantly be relying on money for everything.
Yes, yes. And then bringing that you're just changing those value systems. Hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
So what star
Um,
sign are you?
I'm Aquarius
Oh,
Pisces.
Aquarius Spice, that's right. Yeah, you said earlier,
Yeah,
right. So,
yeah.
and you said earlier, sorry, you said earlier also that sometimes you feel more Aquarius and sometimes more Pisces. Yeah.
Yes. And
So,
depending on the relationship.
yeah. And Aquarius at the moment is really stepping into its own because we're now in the age of Aquarius. I kind of believe it started around 2008. And now that Pluto's moved into Aquarius, we're well and truly into it. So this is, Aquarian people are here to change the world because
Oh,
you think outside the box. You are the people that have the new solutions to the old problems. So, like for most of us, 2 + 2 = 4. But for an Aquarian, 1 + 1 + 1 = 1 So you can get to the
yes.
same answer, but you need to be able to work it out your own way because that's how your mind works. So when someone
I feel
tells
so
you,
seen right now.
sorry,
I
you're
said I
so
feel
seen.
so seen right now.
And this is why many, many Aquarians will slip through education systems because teachers just think they're stupid, but basically they're more intelligent than they are and they're just not getting what they need. And this is going to become more and more obvious the souls that have been born over the last 10 years in particular are so evolved. It's going to be really interesting to see how the education system is going to work for them because the way it's set up right now, they'll all drop out because there's
Mm.
nothing they're learning that they don't already know or they can't see a use for.
Yes. I have young children and I completely agree.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. So
How
even
old
my
are you?
14-year-old actually, who's
Yeah.
a Scorpion, but she's so all of my children are spiritually gifted or in tune with their spiritual gifts because I believe everybody is spiritually gifted.
Yeah.
My son sees spirit, my daughter hears spirit. So my 8-year-old sees spirit, my 6-year-old hears spirit, and my 14-year-old feels. So
Wow.
as you can imagine, a
Yeah.
14-year-old feeling
Yeah.
it's a lot, and she's a Scorpion.
Oh, poor little thing. But that's Scorpios, that's the only way they can process anything is to feel it.
Mm,
That's their
mm.
way.
Yes, and she feels very deeply.
Yeah.
But where was I going with that? Yes, so sorry. With the school system, she finds it quite how she gets bored quite easily.
Mm.
She's more looking at how the teachers are responding to things and how they manage themselves versus what she's learning in the classroom. So
Yeah.
she'll say, I really don't enjoy that. That I'm having to the level of education that I get is dependent on my teachers how my teacher's morning went.
Oh, dear.
So this is at 14.
Yes,
So,
depending on the quality of the coffee.
yeah. But
You
just
c
a lot more insightful than what we were at that age, I think.
Yeah,
Y
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
I hear stories and things from people having readings like in their 20s or so, that things that I didn't figure out till I was in my 50s and they've got it nailed at 20. It's like, wow, good on
yeah,
you. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I think we have a lot more access to information these days as well, which is,
true.
helping a lot
Yeah,
in that
yeah.
space. So, so my son is a Gemini.
Ah,
So my 8-year-old son is a Gemini. He's fabulous. And then and my 6-year-old is a Pisces. So
oh, right. Little mirror for you.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Um,
especially when your children are the same star sign as you, is usually a very good mirror for you to see how you could be or couldn't be.
okay.
Yeah.
um, so for you, what star sign are you,
I'm a
Deidre?
Cancer.
You're a Cancer. Yes, you did say that.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, we're all, if you go with your Pisces side, then you're a water sign like I am. So the water signs, most Pisceans are born mediums and most Cancerians are born clairvoyant.
Okay.
Because the water energy is the perfect conduit for spiritual energy. And like you
Absolutely.
said, everybody's got spiritual gifts. Everybody's intuitive. It's just with the water signs, it's almost like more accessible. because it's always there, so it becomes a part of you. Whereas with the other signs, it's always there too, but it's almost like not. Sometimes they need to do a little bit more work to access
Need
to
to
it than the water
turn it up a
signs
little.
do. Yeah.
So I've had a soul chart reading.
Yeah.
So let's talk into that. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So when I do a reading for you, I would need your time, date, and place of birth, because everybody, is born at a certain time in a certain place on a certain date, and that's what differentiates us from everybody else. So interesting. I did a reading the other day for twins, and there was 1 minute between them. So the planets move in relation to one another every 4 minutes. So usually, if it's only a minute between twins, you wouldn't expect to see much difference in their two charts. But for whatever reason, at that particular minute between their births, a couple of planets moved into different houses and moved another degree. So they moved houses, which meant that their focus in this lifetime, although they're identical to, one was male, one was female, they were going to have very different ways of navigating life. Yeah.
Mhm.
But even though there's only a minute between them, and whereas other twins I've done who've got, even more time between them, and there's no change in their charts because the planets haven't, for whatever reason, it wasn't at a time there was change going on. So when we look at your chart, we can see within that all the gifts and talents that you've brought into this lifetime, whether you're going to be a confident, strong, and outgoing person, or whether you're going to be introverted and shy, what your career prospects and work opportunities will be, where the gifts and talents lie there for you, and what your attitude will be in those areas. We can see any health stuff that's going to come up for you or could come up for you in your life. Whether you're going to travel, whether you're destined to live in the same country you've always lived in, or whether you're going to travel and move all over the place, whether your parents are going to divorce or not, or whether you're going to divorce or not, is also in the chart.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's all there. And this is why, to me, the first time, when I had that first reading and then was handed a report about myself and read that, I thought, oh my God, well, here we go. Finally, here's all my answers. So it's really interesting how it can go. For me, I felt incredibly empowered to know, oh, thank God I know why I chose all this crazy stuff I've been through. Now I understand why I've had to go through all of this. But for other people, it's like, oh my God, I couldn't possibly have chosen this. I don't want to know. This is all wrong. No way. But yeah, so people take it either way. But to me, it's such an empowering thing, because if you know what you're capable of and who you are, you can do anything. But if you think everything's random and you're not sure, and am I good at this and am I not good at that, you're going nowhere.
Well, you're handing your power over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So my question is, there is a the soul chart that you can get from your name,
Yes.
your birth name. Do
Yeah.
you know much around that? Because
So
it
that would
seems
be
very
based on the
similar.
numerology. So that would be based on the numerology. So the numerology of your date of birth should match your astrology exactly, because it's exactly the same thing.
Amazing.
Just being interpreted in a different way instead of, because again, it's all predestined. So it all should add up to create the same result.
So,
And
I
it's not,
mean, there are the facts. There are the
yeah.
facts, Deidre.
Well, when I decided to, when I downloaded, I was sort of given the name for my business, Star-Wise. And when I did the numerology on that, it's exactly the same as the numerology of my name.
Ah,
So that was just perfect confirmation for me. Then this must be the name I meant to choose, because it's completely aligned with me and who I am.
that's right.
Hmm. So yeah, the chart, and so every year also, so the natal chart that we look at with the one that's given to you when you're born shows all your life lessons, what you're here to go through in general over your entire lifetime, and then every year you have what we call a solar return, which shows what you're going to be up for over the next year, from your birthday one year until your birthday the next year. It's not a calendar year thing. It works from birthday to birthday. So that's another thing that you can get to see. So it might be that you want to get a new business off the ground. And so you look at your solar return and you can see, is this a good year to do it? Or should I leave it for another year? Or if I want to launch it, should I launch it here or should I launch it somewhere else? And, do I need help? Do I need a partner to help me do this, or can I do it on my own? So all of those things will show up for you. And where you spend your birthday every year determines your year ahead. So my teacher used to travel all over the world, and I do when I can often. If I look at my solar return, think, oh, having it in New Zealand's not going to be great. I'll find somewhere else to go where the planets are aligned in a different way that I can make better use of. So, for instance, you might have had 5 years of money problems, and you look at your chart for the upcoming year, or you get someone to look at your chart for the upcoming year, and you see still money problems coming up. You think, okay, I've had enough of this. I still realize there must be learning for me there with money, but I can give myself a break, and I can go and have
Mm.
my birthday somewhere else. So the planets that are affecting me in my area of money will move somewhere else, and so I'll have something else to focus on for the year, and I'll come
Mm.
back to the money stuff at another time, or maybe it will resolve itself while my focus is elsewhere.
That's right. I love that. So being able to redirect the energy so that you can really look at refocusing on what you're drawing in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
much there, so much
yeah.
help, so much wisdom.
Yes, and another thing that's getting really popular is there's so many people now are able to work remotely. So I get it. We do something in astrology. It's called astrolocation, or it's called no, it's called astrocartology or relocation charts. And what they are is we can put you in, and say you decided you wanted to work from home but live in Costa Rica. So
Mm.
I can put Costa Rica into my program, and it gives me this big printout of how you will do in Costa Rica. Will it be? And it gives you marks out of 500, I think, for whether it's good for family, whether it's good for your career, whether it's good for love, whether it's good for friendship, cultural, artistic, all of those things, health. And so you can see. So I get a lot of people contacting me because they want to work remotely and they want to travel the world at the same time. So
Mm.
what places would be good to base themselves in that are going to promote their career, or they're going to be happy there, or it's going to be good for love, or whatever they're looking for, and we can look at it through that as well. So that's becoming quite popular with all the remote workers around the world now.
It's like you've got this magic wand with all this knowledge.
Yeah, I have. Well, kind of, but at the same time, we have our free will or our ego.
Yes.
And
Let's
that
talk into
is
that.
I mean, because when you look at your chart and everything, that's all been designed by your higher self, your higher consciousness, for the highest good of all concerned. And once
Mm.
your ego gets hold of that, there's no way it's going to do all the things that are in there. And that's why, if we were all to know exactly what we'd chosen to live how our lives were going to be from the day we were born, we would run a mile from half the things we've been through. And therefore, we wouldn't learn anything.
That's
But the
right.
thing is, the universe has the big picture. The universe knows exactly what you should be doing when, but we just get to know things on a need to know basis because that
Mm.
keeps us learning and growing rather than running away and hiding.
Well, that's right. So let's talk about how sometimes these negative things need to come up in your life in order for you to be able to grow and expand from your point of view.
Um, yeah, so there's certain things that we have to go through in life. In astrology, there's the planet Saturn. So Saturn is our teacher and our disciplinarian. So wherever he sits in your chart are where you're here to face your greatest fears and your biggest challenges. And the
Mm.
thing is with fear is that the natural response to fear is to run away from it. I mean, but what we find is when we face our fears, the fear
Mm.
goes away, and
Mm.
suddenly, on the other side of that fear is opportunity, is growth, is everything you've been waiting for. It's just you've got to get over that hump. You've got to face what you fear. And that's one of the
Mm.
most important things for everybody to realize on the earth plane is you've come in with these fears that you're here to overcome so you can grow and expand and evolve. If you keep running away from everything, you're never going to grow. Nothing's going to change. Your life is going to stay the same. So people often, we all don't like to be scared. Nobody likes to do things that confront them. And of course, some signs of the zodiac are more scared than other signs of the zodiac, and some are, able to confront things or embrace things that others can't because it
Mm.
naturally feels okay in some ways. Like, for instance, like we talked about Geminis, they can take on something new very, very easily, whereas a Virgo has a lot of issues with taking on new things because they have such a fear of failing. So,
Mm.
it's all these different ways that we've got to work through this energy.
So have you so talking about the current energy at the moment, we'll talk into that. What do you see as a theme that seems to be happening for the collective at the moment?
I think the chaos is the theme at the
Thank
moment, and
you. I
it's
agree.
all it's divinely guided because what I'm sort of feeling like recently, the most recent move of one of the major planets was the planet Uranus into Gemini. So
Mm.
Uranus is the planet of change, and it takes him 7 years to move through a sign of the zodiac. So he spends 7 years bringing a lot of change to a certain area of your life. So if he's all about change and things changing constantly, I mean, I call Uranus Mr. Curveball because you never know what the changes he's going to bring. And then Gemini is the busiest sign of the zodiac. So when you put those two together, it's going to get pretty crazy over the next 7 years. And
Mm.
so what I really believe, though, with all of this information, misinformation, chaos, everything that's going on outside of us, it's all becoming so chaotic so that our only choice is to come within.
Mhm.
Because, for years and years and years, we have given our power away. We've
Yes.
allowed other people to make decisions for us. We've been told that, people know better than you, so they'll look after you and take care of you. And what we've certainly seen over the last 5 years in particular is that is not the case at all. And so all of this chaos is bringing us back to our own sovereignty, to our own ability to think for ourselves. And
Mm.
so many people are being so conditioned out of this that it's terrifying for them to have to suddenly make decisions and rely on themselves. But other people, like you and I, we can't wait to have our power back and be able to do it
Yes.
ourselves because we can see where it leads.
That's right.
So that's what I think the current energy is about. And the other big thing that's happened is that Neptune had just spent 15 years in Pisces and moved into Aries this year, and Saturn moved into Aries at the same time after spending 3 years in Pisces. So while those two were in Pisces, it was very much the time of spiritual dabbling. So
Mm.
where a lot of people were becoming a lot more aware of all the different modalities, all the different things you could do out there, meditation, yoga, all of it, and lots of people were dipping their toes in and then having these dreams and thinking, oh, I want to be a yoga teacher, I want to do this. And many people did. But what they didn't do was take it seriously enough or
Mm.
put enough structure into it. And so
Mm.
now that both Neptune and Saturn are in Aries, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's black and white, it's right or wrong, it's all about me energy. And so
Oh.
now that we've got this, we're stepping into what I call the spiritual warrior time, where we're taking all of our dreams, our fantasies, our highest ideals, and our highest needs and desires, and we're going to make them real because we've got Aries now to make the facts happen. And this is
Yes.
why all the revelations are coming out at the moment as well, because under Aries energy that's so black and white, you can't have cloudy, misjudged, misunderstood stuff. It's got to be clear. So what we should all be noticing now, and I was talking to a client earlier this morning about it, is that now that they've both been, I think about June they moved into Aries. So we're all starting to feel that sense of clarity now that we didn't have before. With
Mm.
things, have you
Yes.
noticed that for yourself? You're
Oh,
feeling it clearer?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a real, so we're getting that so that's also will give us more confidence in ourselves to be able to
Mm.
make those decisions and take that critical thinking and that choices back to yourself, and to do
Mm.
so with confidence and absolute surety that this is my life and I get to choose what happens with it.
Mm.
And that's where we've been sort of misled for many years.
Yes, agree. And so with the understanding, why do you think that we have been made to disconnect from ourselves so much in regards to our spiritual knowing?
Be- Because of our personal power.
There it is.
The way they've shut down the divine feminine, the way they've shut down so many things, because our intuition is our greatest gift.
Yes.
And so they've made sure over many years that that is dulled down, that that is considered stupid, that that is not listened to. But everybody, whether you consider yourself intuitive or not, every single person in this world listens to their gut instinct, and that is
That's
your
right.
intuition. And whether you want to call it that or not, like often when I'm working with
That's
men, I
right.
talk about gut
We're just having
instinct
a few
instead of
technical
intuition.
difficulties, and we're back. We just had some technical difficulties.
Okay, so where do we get to?
Oh dear. We were talking about the disconnection
Oh, the disconnection.
with
Yeah.
divine
So I think
feminine.
it's been engineered and orchestrated for many years to keep us, because if if you can rely on yourself, then you're not going to look to any guidance from anybody else, which means that you're not controllable. And so they did it with religion for years, and
Mm.
and now it's sort of moved into other types of control and things around us that telling us what to do. But yeah, I think that it's been very divine, well, not divinely, badly or well orchestrated to keep us divided. Because for as long
Yes.
as you don't rely on you, you're always looking for your answers somewhere else. And that means that other people have power over you. Other people get to decide things for you. Other people get to tell you this is right for you or this is wrong for you. And we've stopped being able to think for ourselves, which that's the whole purpose of being a human, is we come into this
Mhm.
lifetime with this ability to think for ourselves, to feel, and to create, and we're not being allowed to do it in the way that we should be able to do it. So I
That's
think that
right.
everything that's going on in the world at the moment is leading back to that. We're coming back to what the way we should be. And it's not so much that we're learning new skills, we're remembering how we're meant to be.
Yes.
So we're just waking up and remembering, hey, and when we remember, we're remembering things because they feel right
Mm.
and that it just makes sense. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I look at what's going on in Gaza at the moment, to me, you would have to be mentally deranged to think that that was okay. You'd have to actually, because the humanness of us, the realness of us, does not tolerate that or accept that in 1 ounce of it. So there's a real problem out there, and
I
it's all
feel,
orchestrated. Yeah,
yeah, no, for me, I feel, but with everything going on over there, it's more you'd have to be so disconnected from
mm,
yourself to be
yeah,
able to accept what's going on here.
yeah,
Because I mean, yeah,
yeah. And the disconnection, I mean, we're becoming a lot more disconnected through video games and things like that. We're
Oof.
killing and driving fast cars or whatever it might be is
Mm.
considered a game and normal. And so it desensitizes us to things that we should be sensitive to.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there are so many layers to that
Yeah.
desensitization and so many different spaces as well.
Yeah.
It's quite
And this is
dangerous.
the beautiful thing about the Aquarian energy is that Aquarian
Mm.
energy loves people to be different. It loves that everybody does things differently and has their own drumbeat to dance to. That's very Aquarian. But Aquarian energy also loves community. So it
Mm-hmm.
loves to be, under the influence of Aquarius, we can all be completely different, but still all work together. Whereas
Yes.
under the influence of what people would like us to be at the moment, we're all different and we can't possibly work together. Because
Mm.
when we work together, power goes to the people. So the
Mm.
last time Pluto was in Aquarius was during the French Revolution, which was fast
Yes.
preceded by the not preceded, comes after the American Revolution. So when the power went back to the people, so we're right back
Mm.
there again.
Mm. And we can see that manifesting, I mean, even just in what we're dealing with in Aotearoa at the moment, where they are, trying to divide culture, trying
Yeah,
to disempower Māori who do very much talk about whakawhanaungatanga and that,
yep,
working together as a collective. And why
yeah.
do they do that? Well,
Power to the people.
right?
And this is where I actually believe that, as we go on, it's the Indigenous cultures around the world that are going to be to cope with this the best because they
Yes.
genetically, and I don't mean to be in the least bit racist in anything I'm saying here, but genetically, they're used to being community and working together more recently than we are as white people. As
Yes.
white people, we are so divided and so apart from one another. But the Indigenous cultures around the world, they still have that in their genes, in the deep within them, they know how to come together and how to be as one. We don't.
Mm. Their value
We,
systems are different, So
mm,
for me, I'm Māori, and my father is Pākehā, so I have quite
yeah,
the difference,
yeah,
and I see value in both for
yeah,
sure. But I do see with Māori, it is more if I win, you win.
yeah,
It is about that
yeah,
and where if I can carry you, I'll carry you, and it's a privilege to be able to carry you
yeah,
versus the other mentality of, well, you need to carry yourself,
yeah, yeah.
you know.
Yeah, and the same with the attitude towards land is that the land and the resources of the land should be something we all take care of. And
Yes.
nobody gets to own beaches and gets to own rivers and things like that. They're all part of and water. Oh my goodness, don't get me started on water. Yeah. So yeah, these natural resources should never ever be taken away from anybody.
No,
Anybody, ever.
no, exactly. 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 Well, we'll see how that one unfolds under the Aquarian.
Yeah. So this has been a big year astrologically, simply because so many planets change signs. So the planets, some of them move very slowly, some of them move very fast. But this year we've had, I think, 4 or 5 planets, major planets change signs and one more to come next year. And that, usually it always happens, but it usually would happen 1 this year, 2 next year, 1 in 5 years' time. But this time they've all come together. So, with astrology, what we say is as above, so below. So it's
Yes.
as all the changes are happening in the cosmos, they're directly influencing us and sending energy down to us so that we can also evolve and change through that support and guidance.
Unfortunately, Whānau, we lost Deidre right at the end there, but she'll be returning to us in mid-September, so stay tuned for part 2. In the meantime, you can find her over at star-wise.com. to book your soul chart reading and to indulge in some of Deidre's amazing magic. A big thank you to Deidre for joining us today and sharing her wisdom. And this is exactly how spirit works sometimes. The conversation flows as it needs to, and it will return when the timing is right.